Is this series supposed to be about the Idaho student murders or about Chronicles of Olivia, Bullhorn Betty, and JLR? Because honestly, it's hard to tell. Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. Disclaimer, everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only, and just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Okay, you guys, so I started watching this morning. I was going to watch it the other day, did other things. I was going to watch it last night, did stuff with the kids like I normally do on Fridays, so I'm watching it this morning. I was going to do a video at the very end of watching all of them, but these are like an hour long. I have how many pages? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 pages on the first freaking episode. So I'm just going to do a rundown of what I thought about this first episode. And then I'm going to do a rundown at the end of the next one. And then I'm going to do a rundown at the end of the next one. So this would be a total of 3 videos altogether. Now, there wasn't too much misinformation in this one. There was a little bit. It was more about like, it was showing people on TikTok that I'd never seen before. But I saw Riley Lively and of course JLR at BHB, Chronicles of Olivia. There was a couple of them that I did notice, but a lot of these I don't know. But I do understand. I do understand whenever you see it all like collectively how ridiculous a lot of this stuff is. But this is literally only about TikTok. Like they're not showing Twitter stuff. They're not showing YouTube stuff, Reddit stuff. They're not showing anything but TikTok. It's interesting. Okay, I took them out of the notebook. I make it a little bit easier. The very first thing that is heard is this is a crime of passion. And that's something that we heard in the very beginning, but this is now where the case is now in the present day. And Paramount has decided to release that statement as the very beginning statement of this series. And I just find that pretty interesting. It shows a bunch of the original pressers and then like instantly you see JLR. I know a lot of people like JLR. Okay. My problem with him is that he has no couth. He has no morality and he has no ethics. Okay. And I'm allowed my opinion because I can do that. He puts himself out there and that means I can have my opinion on him. Just like there's a lot of people out here that have opinions about me. There's a lot of people out here that don't like me, but I just don't really care. So I cannot like JLR and it's not that big of a deal. I don't like him. Okay. He's harassed victims' families. He's gone and like pounded on their doors trying to make them give him a statement. He does things very uncouth. Okay. Just like Bullhorn Betty does. I don't like the way that they do things. So I've said from the very beginning that I didn't feel like it was a good mix for Olivia. And I find it weird, honestly, that they're focusing so much on the 3 of them, on Olivia, Betty, and JLR. Because as far as I know, it's been like a minute since they've all done anything together. We haven't even heard of them like being in contact with each other. That's all died down since I knew about this Paramount thing happening. Basically, since Linda Lane, right before Linda Lane dropped, is about when I stopped noticing that JLR and Bullhorn Betty and Olivia were even doing stuff together or communicating or anything. And I know that Olivia's page on YouTube hasn't had a lot of movement. She's really just kind of sticking to TikTok if she's doing anything at all. So, yeah. I just, again, this episode kind of just, because it focuses so much on like them than it does on what we're supposed to be, paying attention to this episode for. And the first 8 minutes is literally just the 3 of them, what they do, and the stuff that they did with Gabby Petito. That's literally all it is. The first 8 freaking minutes of this thing. Now, something else that I noticed off the bat is that there's a guy that they're using to sort of depict Bryan. They're showing him on a computer. It's just the back. You only see like the back of him and like this much of a profile. You don't see like the whole thing, But this guy, he's kind of tall. He's sort of built the way that Bryan is built from what we've seen. He's got sort of that wave in his dark brown hair. Like he's definitely depicting Bryan Kohberger. So Paramount's actually kind of boo-boo for doing that because that's putting a perception. I mean, honestly, isn't that sort of like tainting a possible jury pool, because you're like, all these millions of people now are going to watch this episode, like watch this series, right? And so even if they didn't have like a perception before, now they're going to see this guy with this stance that wears his clothes like this and stands like this and has hair like this whenever they think of this case. And that's going to instantly make them recognize Bryan Kohberger as the guy. You know what I mean? It's like it's a mind's eye thing. It's just, yeah. Now, I didn't know that Olivia got famous for some weird shit. And I mean weird. I'm going to see if I can put the clip in here without it causing me problems. But this is weird. And she shows it in this episode. That went viral. And that's what made her decide she needed to tell stories. What in the hell? I don't understand. Okay. It was the weirdest stuff. It's literally like something about a phone from like 2060 something. It's strange. It's very odd. And now she's like the face of TikTok crime sleuths. It's just very strange. And then of course we have Bullhorn Betty trying to make herself sound special in some way. And she's sitting here like, I say stuff like behooved. So if you guys can't tell, I don't like her. I don't like these people. Now they show the neighbor. Y'all remember Jeremy, the neighbor, the redheaded guy? He was harassed. People thought he was the suspect. People thought he's the one that did it. I didn't know until this episode that it went so far that they were like trying to contact his grandmother. Okay, like harassing this man's grandma over this. These people, you know, people that go crazy on the internet and feel the need to do the most. Those people. That poor dude. Like I had no idea. And they just kind of show him in the very beginning. It's not till towards the end of the episode that they bring up the fact that his entire family was doxxed. And I'm just like, wow. Like I knew it was bad. I did, but I didn't know they contacted that man's grandma. Like that is like excessive. They kind of give a dig at people. And honestly, I don't really care for these kinds of people either. And this is just the truth because I get this. I get bombarded by bullshit like this all of the time. Me and several other creators. I will be on an email receiving list with people that I've never even heard of before. Okay. And there'll be like 50 recipients, but it's about the case. And everything is in caps and different freaking fonts and different colors. And it's just a whole freaking mess. Okay. These come in constantly. And it's crap. And what these people say, it's like someone who just sits at their computer day in and day out, they'll just send a tip in for any little thing that they think of. They won't do any real work on it to try to figure out if it's valid or not. They'll just think of it in their head because of some crap comment that they read on some forum somewhere, and then they're calling it into the tip line. And every tip has to be looked at. So honestly, guys, I want y'all to take that into consideration when we hear that they had 9,000 tips come into the tip line, okay? Because something else we hear is that they had 7,600 emails, 4,300 calls not on the tip line, like called to the police station, and then 4,500 digital tips, okay? When you take that into consideration with what I just said, something that I know that I deal with on a daily basis, something that I know several other creators on here deal with on a daily basis, and then take that fact that this isn't just YouTube that is considered in this. It's TikTok, it's Reddit, it's Facebook, it's X, it's Twitter, it's all of these. It's Truth Social, it's Rumble, it's all of them. Okay, people will call in tips, and those tips have to be looked at. How much resources were wasted on things that were useless? How many of these 9,000 calls or these 7,600 emails are actually worth a shit? How many of those actually have something relevant in them? 5 to 10%. 5 to 10%, if that. How many of them are just insanely crazy people with nothing else better to do that don't have any sort of actual grasp of reality and just go full force with everything they hear? Probably 45%. Probably. So I don't know who this Kathleen Hail lady is that they have on here, but she claims to be a real professional journalist, a real professional crime writer. Okay. And she's talking basically just all kind of trash about the people on TikTok. And honestly, if she's talking crap about people on TikTok, it's really everyone. It's people here on YouTube. It's people that do this on their Facebook pages. It's just people out here that are actually, doing what I do, that she's talking all this crap about in reality. So she's sitting here stating that, we don't have any stance. We come out here and we just magnify issues and we cause all this chaos. Okay, but Miss Ma'am, Miss Ma'am, you not only had information that was wrong because you're sitting here in this Paramount episode all this time later, okay? And you're saying that the girls ate at a taco truck and took an Uber home? No, they had pasta and it was a private driver, which we all actually know. So how about you get your information straight? You're also sitting here needing an alarm to wash your kid's butt? Seriously, the first impression of this woman was an alarm going off on her phone stating, "Oh, it's just a reminder for me to give my kid a bath." As a mom of 3, I was shooketh. So, someone who can't, just live a normal daily life and remember to give their child a bath really doesn't need to be having an opinion about anybody out here. And that's just my opinion. So they show a little bit of the grub truck footage. They go on to talk about Jack S. and Hoodie Guy. They talk about the whole, what did you tell Adam? I told Adam everything thing. They talk about all of it, but they only talk about it in little fragments because they're just showing like all of the things that came out that got social media and people out here on all these platforms discussing stuff, because a lot of those things were really sketchy. And, you have to kind of like figure out a way to detach them from the situation, but some people went too far. Lots and lots and lots of freaking people went way too far and are continuing to go too far as of today. So I don't know who this Jenna Canela chick is. She cusses a lot. She cusses a whole lot. And she, just uses the excuses that she's just blunt and says her opinion as an excuse for that. But Miss Ma'am, so do I. Okay. And I'm not out here, throwing the F word everywhere just because I'm like, in an emotional response to what I'm hearing in the case because my brain's just spinning all over the place. I'm not out here F this and effing this and who in the F is this. She's insane. I don't care that her little uncle is in intelligence or whatever. There's a way that you can do this and still be blunt and honest, because obviously that's what I do on here. Okay. Without being vulgar. I want younger generations, like even teens and stuff like that, to get into these cases because it could help a career path. Okay. And I don't want to be cussing all over the place. So I guess to each their own. And people must like it because she's got a lot of followers on TikTok. But honestly, she's not my cup of tea. Okay. And then she comes out here and she's talking about all this stuff and she's like, "Oh, and I'm a conspiracy theorist." People like her and people like Bullhorn Betty also claiming in this thing, "Yeah, and I'm a conspiracy theorist." They're the reason why we all are like shit talked. Like people like me are shit talked. I don't understand. They talk about how the girls had different means of death based off what Steve Goncalves stated. They then talk about the calls to Jack D. They talk about how there's no accountability for TikTok stars, which isn't true. And I'm glad that they end up mentioning this later on because I wrote down in my notes, okay, but Psychic Chick is getting sued, because that's true. There's a tarot reading psychic chick on TikTok. I've probably mentioned her at least once. I know I've shared videos from other creators, big time creators that have talked about her. I'll probably have a link for, let's see, a Tozy. That's a channel that I can think of at the top of my head that talks about this lady a lot. I'll put a link for one of his videos down in the description box. If you guys don't know the story about the TikTok psychic chick lady, okay, rundown is this. She claims that in her tarot cards, she could see that Kaylee Goncalves was in a lesbian relationship with a female professor named Rebecca Schofield, okay? And that Rebecca somehow ordered the hit, okay? There's a whole thing. There's a court case. This woman was like given a cease and desist, and she literally treated it like toilet paper. Like she recorded herself basically treating it like toilet paper. She's been really sarcastic and just gross in the whole thing. Like, not only is she just like completely wrong in how she's doing this, but she's a very immoral, unethical, and uncouth person too. Like, she's just a gross human being, and I feel sorry for people that even know this woman in real life, because you can tell who she really is. You really can. She's just a gross human. But she's doubled, tripled, quadrupled down. She's countersuing. It's insane. It's a whole very detailed situation. Again, I have a link for Atozi's videos in the description box. And here comes Kim. You guys all know Kim's story, that her daughter was alerted via a Snapchat group at 10 a.m., which is still about 2 hours before the 911 call. And you guys know all of the insanity that has caused. Now, they've only shown what was going on TikTok, and they really didn't show much of anything. All they really showed was Riley Lively asking the people, the producers that are on set with her at Paramount, if Kim has been proven to even be a real person. No answer. I found that interesting. And then here comes the stuff about the white Elantra, the Oregon one that was crashed, and then the one that Brian Enton went and got the picture off of the security camera for the 7-Eleven or the gas station, where the attendant said that they ended up seeing one whenever they went back on the security footage, which, by the way, that has never been verified by police to be the exact same white Hyundai Elantra that they were looking for. Now, they came out and they told us straight up that the one in Oregon was not it, but they've never even acknowledged this one as far as I can remember. If someone knows anywhere at all that any agency working this case has said anything about the 7-Eleven Elantra, please let me know. Email me the link, or like just tell me where to find it. But as far as I know, that one's never been verified. They've never even spoken on it. Then there's this one lady on there that states that like vetted news stations, no, let me do this right. Vetted news institutions have standards. What standards? What standards? Because like right now in the Kansas City 3 case, we wouldn't be questioning what was going on with Jordan Willis if the media wasn't pounding all kind of stuff out there. So what standards do you actually have with your vetted institutions? Vetted for what? Being able to be bought? Because that's really all that you guys are, mainstream people. You know what I mean? Like, they literally have to say what they're told to say. So that was the one thing that I definitely did agree with Olivia on, because she makes that statement. She's like, I'm more free to say what I want to, other than these, like media people that, you're paid to say whatever you're supposed to say. And we know, take example, the Epstein case. There was that one reporter that knew about this crap years and years and years before he was ever arrested, and all the crazy stuff happened. I mean, arrested the second time, and all that crazy stuff happened, and she was told to shut up. Like, basically threatened and told to shut up. Don't tell the story. Don't act like you know anything. And that's what she did, because it paid her paycheck. It paid her bills. Okay. So she's right on that. She's right on that. You don't have standards just because you're a vetted institution. All that means is that you can get away with being a-holes. JLR goes in here to state that him talking about everyone in the case is a duty that he has. Okay, but it's not the way that these freaking people do it. And they're not the only ones. There's plenty of channels out there that go after literally every person that has ever known these people and completely dox their entire lives. I can specifically recall a channel who delved really, really deep into the man that was going to end up being Kaylee's boss in Texas, and his entire family history and his wife's face were just plastered all over this person's channel. For what? Literally nothing. Money, ad revenue, that's it. The whole Jack S situation, uncalled for, ridiculous. That dude did not escape to Africa. Okay, no, he did not. All the stuff with Jack D, that one I can understand. There was a reason to suspect something with that one. And honestly, I understand why people are still really suspicious of him. I understand it. But whenever you're just, going after random people like the neighbor, like Kaylee's boss, and you're blasting all their information out there, how is that a duty? How is that your right to make sure that no rock is left unturned? That's not what you're supposed to do. If you don't have an actual reason, if there's not multiple things leading you that way besides you just bored with nothing else to do, then you're doing things wrong here. There's no reason for it. I don't understand how those channels that just do those kinds of things are allowed to stay on here, which is another reason. And I'm going to just, a lot of people know I don't like JLR. I've mentioned it several times. He was one of the ones that was like questioning if Maddie and Kaylee were sugar babies and questioning all of the drug stuff. And he was like not putting the girls in a very good light whatsoever. So then whenever JLR and Steve took a photo together and it was posted, I was like taken aback, because I was like, this man was talking crap about your daughters, and now you're all armed up with him? That part I just didn't understand. They bring up how the knife sheath was originally mentioned by Papa Rogers, but then they didn't really go too far into it. So I don't even know why they ended up bringing it up if they weren't going to do real research into it to try to validate anything, come up with anything about the whole Papa Roger situation. They just left it. Just left it just like that. Now they do show The fact that Bullhorn Betty calls the police because there was like some guy, I guess, harassing them whenever they were on scene. Okay. I don't like her. Let me just put it, you guys know that. When she mentioned that she was there, like looking into a case, the dispatch woman was like, "Hold on, you said you were working on a case. What do you mean, what case?" And she is like basically just glancing over the fact that Bullhorn Betty was calling the cops because someone was like harassing them, I guess the situation was. Your job as a dispatcher is to shut the hell up, take the information, and send the cops, not to have some sort of judgmental issue. Okay? And if that dispatch call right there was any indication of how that office works, come on now. Seriously? Seriously. Your job is to dispatch out the cop. The cop can then determine if he needs to reprimand Bullhorn Betty verbally for her bullshit or not you. So as much as I don't like Bullhorn Betty, I didn't appreciate that at all because she could have really been in danger and something bad could have really happened because of the way that dispatch person was acting. So there's that. It ends with the arrest of Bryan Kohberger. And what I didn't know is that Olivia was on scene whenever they were doing the bio cleaning on 12:30. I mean, I knew that part actually, but I didn't know that a reporter there is the one who told Olivia that there was a suspect arrested. So it was already going around the mainstream, gossip stuff for a good hot minute before it was actually given to the public, which is what we all knew. That's exactly what we all knew. But it ends with the arrest and how everyone is like, who? Huh? What? They got him where? Because that's how we all were. That's how we all were. But that's it for this first episode. I'm going to get this edited, get this posted, and then I'm off to watch episode 2. I'm pretty sure this is where a bunch of the misinformation comes in. I have been warned. I have been warned by several. Wish me luck. See y'all.